I want to bring in NBC senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley and Milou Chavez, executive director of the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project. Milou, I want to start with you. Here's what the daughter of one of the workers who was detained by ICE on Friday had to say. Watch.
I was present during the raid. I saw with my own eyes the pains of the families, crying, screaming, not knowing what to do, just like me. That's why the families demand free of all workers, legal representation, and due process.
Are you having a lot of conversations like that with the families that you've been talking to, especially as they see story after story about the Trump administration cracking down?
Absolutely. Our communities are in fear. They definitely have questions. There's a lot of confusion about who is being targeted, and having large-scale arrests in our communities is not helping. Our communities understand that there is a process, but due process is being disregarded, and many of our community members are feeling the impact. There's family separation, there's an increase in detention and potential deportation, which is going to lead to great numbers of families being separated.
And I've heard anecdotes from advocates about a chilling effect in communities across the country. But just to give one example of the kind of personal impact that we're hearing about, the New York Times had a story on how soccer fans are canceling watch parties out of fear of being targeted in immigration raids. One person told the Times, quote, "People are being snatched off the street and getting arrested. We decided not to do the game because we thought it could ruin the lives of many people." To just carry that example, it's worth noting that the U.S. is hosting a big international soccer tournament next week. And then, of course, the World Cup next year, literally the biggest event in sports. The president himself has touted it. Millions of fans are expected to visit, including from countries targeted in that travel ban. So, Milou, what concerns do you have against that backdrop?
We know that there's an option to travel, and that many of these countries will be impacted, whether they're banned fully or partially. We know that U.S. port of entry officers have a lot of discretion, and to the extent that they have confusion about who is subjected to this ban, many of our community members might experience when they travel to the U.S. or have their loved ones travel to the U.S. might experience denial of entry. And this travel ban just makes it even worse, because there are processes for community members to bring their family members through family petitions or through approved immigrant visas or non-immigrant visas. But with this travel ban, it's just going to lead to additional confusion and potential detention of people.
And that tracks with the anxiety that we were hearing about in our last segment from George Solis, who's over at Miami International Airport. You know, Julia, I keep coming back to your recent reporting about Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy chief of staff and the man who's widely considered to be the architect of this administration's immigration policies. Your reporting consistently has been that he's berating and threatening to fire ICE officials if they don't meet certain quotas of arrests. So do you see these ramp ups in places like Los Angeles as a result of that pressure from the top?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we've seen it in different waves, Allie. Some of these targeted cities that we're seeing ramped up immigration enforcement, and now were actually pinpointed before the Trump administration even came in. During the transition, I heard Los Angeles being brought up again and again at the top of the list, which was surprising because in January, Los Angeles was battling historic wildfires. We're also hearing that cities like Chicago could soon see ramped up immigration enforcement. We've begun to see protests there as well. This is all part of a response to Miller's pressure to try to ramp up immigration arrests and deportations, because previously, even though they were doing things that had a big splash, like deporting people to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act, the numbers weren't even at the same level that they were in the Biden administration during those same time periods the year prior. And so this is all ICE responding to that pressure from Miller. People want to keep their jobs. They want to come up with these quotas. He set it at 3,000 a day. Right now, they're meeting about 2,200 a day, still vastly larger than they were just a month prior. And I think the targeting of these cities are no accident. They're going into sanctuary cities. They want to have clashes with Democratic mayors and governors over these policies. It's the fight they want to have. We're seeing that escalation with calling in the National Guard. And to be fair, DHS is also pointing us to a dozen people who they say were arrested in L.A. recently who do have serious crimes that they've committed. But of course, that's not what people they're protesting. They're protesting about people the fathers, like you mentioned, people in their community who they say may have been undocumented, but had committed no other crime other than being in the United States illegally, some of them even entering legally under programs that have expired. That's where these protests are beginning. It's the beginning of summer when we often see protests and big movements like this take off across the country. So I think we're reaching a real tipping point in this immigration and deportation campaign from this administration, where not only are they ramping up arrest, but the public is paying attention in a way that, frankly, I haven't seen since the family separation policy of 2018.
Yeah, this does certainly seem like a tipping point and also potentially a blueprint. I mean, Julie, I remember just a few weeks ago in Washington, there were a series of raids on restaurants and then a lot of anxiety and concern that it could be more widespread than that. Ultimately, it didn't come to fruition at that point, but that's what the community in Los Angeles is responding to. So, Malou, on your side of the equation, how are you preparing yourself, your organization, your community for what could be a long haul here?
For us, it's important to share with our community what our rights are and ensuring that when we get the chance to remind ourselves about what to do with interactions with enforcement agencies. But of course, even when they are exercising their rights, we're seeing violations. Even when people are showing up to court as they should be and following the process, we are seeing detentions happening at the courthouses. Across the country. In Seattle, certainly we're seeing families being separated when people do have pending relief. And as a result of judges dismissing the case because the government prosecutors are asking for dismissals, we are seeing now community members subject to something called expedited removal and essentially being detained. One of our local immigration jail in Tacoma is at capacity with many of our community members experiencing detention. And so there's a lot of fear. We also feel very supported by our community at large who are saying this has to stop. There needs to be a process and due process needs to be exercised. And so we certainly support the right of people expressing their civil rights in opposition of government action. But this is all creating fear in our communities. And what we can do is continue to do our job using our skills as immigrant rights advocates, and continue to share what our rights are for our communities and following the process as we know it.